I'm Dana, and today I really want to talk about the things that I was labelled before I was labelled as autistic, because there seems to be quite a conversation around people sort of just grabbing autism as a label to have. You know, I've had a lot of comments on Instagram saying, you don't need to label yourself, it's okay. And for me, it's very much, well, when I wasn't labelled autistic, I was being labelled as lots of other things that are a lot worse. So I wanted to talk about what those things were today, because I think it'll be a quite common autistic experience. And it's probably another thing that a lot of us can relate to and have a little video where we all feel like we understood a little bit, is my thoughts. So let's start. Some of them I'm going to stick all together because they basically mean the same thing. So the first one is that I was shy, nervous and quiet, but only in specific situations, you know? And I think that it definitely, like, in my childhood, you know, I felt like I had to behave a certain way and like be someone and mask, because everyone thought I was this nervous, quiet person. So I didn't feel like I had the chance to come out of my shell, because it wasn't that I was in my shell, it was that they thought this is who I am. They think I'm a like shy, quiet, nervous person. And I couldn't be anything else. I didn't know what else to be to them, so that was all I was. And it wasn't a good thing, you know, and it was very much my anxiety and not necessarily knowing what to say or how to react due to being autistic. It wasn't that I was shy or quiet or nervous, it was that I was autistic. And that's what this list is. It's all stuff that was just misunderstood autism. This next one I know is one that a lot of autistic people have been told, and that's that I was very mature for my age, or I was an old soul. No, I think it's easier, or at least I found it easier as a child, to predict where adult conversation's going. I think that there's more rules, like unwritten, unknown to me most of the time, social rules around how adult conversation works. So as a child, I felt a lot safer in adult conversation than I did with other children my age. I found children my age a lot more unpredictable. I often didn't know at all how to respond and just sort of stood there in silence, because I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on? Whereas with adults, I found it quite easy to steer the conversation to something I knew adults spoke about and just go with that, you know? I definitely had a lot of scripts that I could use with adults. I had a lot of interests that were considered more the types of things that adults are interested in, and that made it a lot easier for me. And that meant that I was seen as an old soul or being very mature for my age, when I was just an autistic kid masking as hard as I could to try and gain some sort of social understanding in any group I could find. Now, this one came up more in my teen years, and it's probably the one that always sort of ground on me the most. And that is that I was unafraid to be myself. I was weird, I was unique, but especially unafraid to be myself. Because I knew that I was being a bit weird. I knew that I was very much being seen as a unique person because I was being a bit weird. And that terrified me. I was really, really scared. A lot of my teen years were me trying really hard to figure out who I was, and then figuring out that I wasn't seen as socially acceptable and hiding that part of myself. So being told that I was unafraid to be myself, I very much saw as them telling me, you're incredibly weird, you're not doing this whole person thing right, and you seem alright with it, so we'll go with it, but like, damn. You know, and it's, yet again, it's one of those things that very easily I could have been like, no, I'm autistic. This isn't me being a freak, this isn't me putting on a show to try to be weird. Like, I had a lot of people in high school tell me I was trying too hard to be weird. And I was like, yo, but I'm literally just trying to be myself. I'm just doing the things I like and trying to wear the clothes that I like and express myself in a way that feels accurate and authentic to me. And it was seen as trying too hard or being unafraid of being myself. And it was very much just being autistic and having different interests and different ways of expressing myself to my peers. And it would have been much easier and much kinder on me to have been able to label that as autism rather than all the other labels that come. And I think the thing as well is that many of these labels are kind of contradictory to each other, because the next one's drama queen, and obviously it's hard to be a drama queen when you're also nervous and quiet and shy. And yet I was labelled all these things. These are all things that I was told I was, and that I've definitely to some degree internalised and still feel bad about. And my family consistently and like often called me a drama queen. And I wasn't. I was reacting to sensory issues, I was reacting to, you know, being overwhelmed. I had a few tantrums, I won't lie, like every now and again it was just I didn't get what I wanted. But for the most part, it was less that I hadn't gotten what I wanted, it was more I've already scheduled like the entire day around like purchasing this magazine or these sweets or whatever. I know what to expect and what's going to come, and I've planned my stuff, and now everything's different and I'm overwhelmed. But because I couldn't label it as being an autistic thing, I couldn't label it as being sensory difficulties, I couldn't explain why I was overwhelmed, and to a neurotypical person there was no reason for any of these things to be going on. So that meant I was just a drama queen, even though when we went out I couldn't bring myself to speak to people. You know, I couldn't bring myself to speak at all in certain social circles, and yet somehow my family still thought I was a drama queen and branded me as such and told me that I was just being a drama queen so many times when what I needed was a bit of support and comfort as an autistic person. Now, one that doesn't go away because you find out you're autistic is being labelled as difficult. I was often told to stop being difficult, told I was being difficult, told... Just the word difficult came up a lot in circles with me with my family, because I was a pleasure to have in class for the most part. Up maybe from like year 10 onwards I kind of started to rebel a little bit and not like school and not see why I should do what I was told and the like. But up until year 10 I was very much anxious to be looked at, anxious to be perceived. I didn't want to be called on in class, I didn't want to speak in class, you know, I was very, very quiet. So I was a pleasure to have in class. And yet at home I was difficult. All the time I was always just trying to be difficult or to make things difficult. And like I say, this isn't something that I can replace with being autistic now, because a lot of the times when you want accommodations so you can thrive and survive just as well as a neurotypical person, you're told that you're being difficult and you don't really need those accommodations. And a range of other reasons that autistic people are being seen as being difficult. You know, if we go non-verbal, we're just not speaking to be difficult. I don't know why I said it like that, but you get what I mean, you get the vibe. And it's really unfair and shitty. And it is something that I should be able to like nip in the bud by saying, no, I'm autistic. Like, I need these accommodations. I don't mean to react in whatever way I'm reacting that you find difficult. It's because I'm autistic. And believe me, chances are I'm absolutely humiliated by it and hate myself for it anyway. Which, again, isn't fair and shouldn't be the case, but there we have it. And finally, definitely the one that plagued me the most, especially when my mental health was at its lowest, and that's you're just being lazy. You're just lazy. Not even that you're being lazy, that you as a person are lazy. When no, I'm autistic, I experience executive dysfunction, I experience difficulty switching between tasks. I have a lot of difficulty starting tasks because of executive dysfunction. I can hyperfixate on something that you see as me not doing anything for a really long time. And sometimes I just get stuck scrolling through my phone. And I'll give, sometimes I'm lazy. Sometimes I deserve a fucking break and I'm lazy. But when I was being told that I was lazy as a teenager, it was when my executive dysfunction was at its highest. I obviously didn't know that at the time. I was very, very depressed over it, you know? Like, at 15, when my mum had asked me to do the dishes while she was out or whatever else, and she came home and they still hadn't been done, I'd had every intention of doing them. And I didn't understand how the time had passed so long that she'd gotten home before I'd had the chance to do them, because I was just about to do them, you know? And yet none of that was understood. You know, it was just, you're just laying on the couch, you're sat on the couch reading a book, watching a movie, looking at your phone, whatever you're doing, you're just being lazy. When, like, most of the time it's actually really hard. You know, and to be struggling so much and to be putting so much effort in, only to still be told you're lazy, it's disheartening and invalidating and just incredibly fucking shitty. But you know, that was one of my mother's favourite labels for me for many, many years. And it's one that I got thrown at me in college as well, which I wasn't expecting, because I'd been told college is where you get treated like an adult. And that was not my experience at college. I was still very much treated like a child, even when I went back at 18 and was actually an adult that had been living outside my parents' house with my partner for like a year at that point. But they consistently told me I was lazy because I was behind on the reading, or I hadn't done this homework, or I'd shown up a little bit late. And it's like, I understand that these are things that you need to be doing. I totally understand being like reprimanded and being reminded and told that you need to get these things done. But I think it's entirely unnecessary to throw in like, are you even trying? You're just being lazy. You know, that's not helpful. You know, I get that teenagers, some of them are just gonna be lazy, some of them just can't be bothered. I get it. But I still don't think it's a nice word to put to a teenager, not when you're an adult. I think that you have a responsibility to speak to them nicely and not say things that might like damage them in some way, because that definitely didn't do anything good for me. It didn't do me any favours, that's for sure. That was going to be my final one, but I want to throw in at the end here, annoying. I was quite often told that I was annoying or that I was too much was a big one by friends in high school. That was where it mostly came from. I can't think of many other situations where I was told that. Right up to the point that I went back to visit a friend from high school. I only continued speaking to 2 people after high school, and I went back to visit one when I was like 21. And partway through my trip back to see her, she was like, oh my God, you're so much less annoying than you used to be. And she clearly meant it entirely as a compliment. But I was like, so not only am I still annoying, but I used to be more annoying. Like, that's not a good thing to say to someone, honey. And like I say, she didn't have that intention. I didn't say anything about it, and I wouldn't now. She didn't have that intention behind it at all. But that's what she said, you know? And it was a very, very common one for me in high school, because a lot of the time I was just trying way too hard to be liked, and it massively backfired. That's definitely the end now, because I've got 2 cats here with me that want some fussing, and I want to give them all the love that they deserve, especially my big fat Ringo man. Oh, I wish you could see his soft fluffy little tummy. He's so pretty. So that's the video. I'm gonna wrap it up. I was gonna like recap it, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think if you've watched this far, you get what's gone on. And I don't need to re-explain it at the end, which I always do, because it feels like I have to wrap it up like an essay. I've been saying some words in a weird way today. I don't know what's going on with that, so I'm gonna actually like sort myself out and go now. As always, I have social media linked down below. It'd be lovely if you wanted to like and subscribe. I also have a Ko-fi account if you wanted to donate me a coffee. I've been really enjoying getting a little iced coffee and taking myself off for little walks around the park lately. It'd be great if making all of these videos could pay for 1 or 2 of them. I don't mind making free content. I think it's the content that should be out there and that I wish someone else would make for me, so I don't have to put the effort in. But they haven't been making it. Lots of people are making great autistic content, but I want content that's specifically relatable to me, and no one else is making that. So I ramble too much at the end of these, I really do. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you in a couple of days.